A game where I thought I could stop watching midway through the third quarter, I was wrong. I really thought the Dolphins were going to minimum beat the Saints 35-7, maybe even get into the 40s. It looked like they couldn't stop Devon Achane for anything. Tyler Shuck in the first half looked like, oh, shucks, he is bad. Saints came out in the second half, though, showed some life, made some adjustments, and made this thing way closer than it needed to be, 21-17. And it was even closer than that because Saints could have tied it on a 2-point conversion, but Tyler Shuck threw it to Minkah Fitzpatrick. He returned it for a 2-point conversion. Then there was an onside kick that the Saints recovered and started to make a mini drive, but then they remembered they were the New Orleans Saints, and they did not convert a fourth down. Dolphins win 21-17. It's a win. 305-567-0560. 104.3 FM, WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Right after this from me and Joe.
This is Broski.
Go ahead.
You hear me?
Yeah, man. Go ahead, Broski.
Yeah, well, Broski.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, listen, man. Hey, listen. You know, I listen to your show. You know, and it's kind of hard listening to it sometimes. You know, I know sometimes you gotta hand it to the audience and feel a certain way about certain things, but I've got a few things that I definitely want to ask you about. You know what's going on here because you know when I look at it, without Tyreek Hill, looks like Mike McDaniel's only one game behind Andy Reid. Also, one game behind John Harbaugh. We looked at Lamar Jackson, which is a great quarterback.
Right.
But we looked at him play against the Cincinnati Bengals and had a terrible game. You know what I'm saying? Nobody says anything about these things, right? But yet, Tua is one game behind Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Carolina Panthers, today, they just, they was 12-point underdogs, and they just beat the Rams today. The New Orleans Saints actually beat Carolina Panthers earlier this season. Okay, so these guys get paid millions and millions of dollars on any given Sunday. These things happen. The worst thing I could do is just kind of listen to this fan base, man, because it's a lot of sourness. It's a lot of crybabies. It's a lot of whining when it comes to our fan base because we got a lot of bandwagoners too. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I watch football. And I really root for the team. Yeah, Tua's not, on par for what we know him to be. But when you look at it, and this is a game of inches, and today's spread was New Orleans to lose by 5 points. If you bet on New Orleans and not lose by 5 points, you actually won. But obviously they had them scoring a certain amount of points or being close within this game. So, and also another point, New Orleans has not allowed a 100-yard receiver this whole entire year, 2025, going back to last season. The announcer made a point about that. They've got Chase Young and Cam Jordan right down that line. They was pressuring Tua all day. He's not a perfect quarterback, but they're one game behind two of what we call Hall of Fame quarterbacks and Hall of Fame coaches. And yet we're here as a fan base ridiculing these people, telling these guys they need to be fired, this, and that. But these two teams that everybody is on their ball sacks about, our team that is so bad, so piss poor, so losing mentality of a fan base that wants to lose for draft picks are one game behind both Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson.
I'll give you any more.
We got a sorry team, though.
We're also in the hunt. We're right there with Buffalo. We've already beat Buffalo. The Steelers aren't much better record-wise. Ravens, right there, like you said. The Bengals, of course, they haven't had Joe Burrow for a while. Our record is better than them. You can start looking around the league and saying the Texans are bright. We're right in that same stratosphere with those teams record-wise. So I do understand that, we do like to pile on sometimes. We do not always understand that there is parity in this league, especially in United States sports. We do have a lot of parity, and this league is made for that. And that's why we see teams that are so up and down. The Chargers, the Chiefs, who would have known that they would have been like that? You can even go over to the NFC, the Cowboys. They may be playing well now. Their record isn't much better than ours. So yeah, the Lions are 7-5. We're 5-7. We're kind of near them also. So as much as it's been doom and gloom, you're right, broski. Sometimes we need to step out of that doom and gloom and look at the big picture, is that this team is on a 3-game winning streak. They've won 4 of the last 5. And although it has not been impressive, at least in our minds, week to week, there's a lot of teams like that don't look impressive. Like Lamar Jackson did not look impressive against the Bengals and some of these other teams, even the Kansas City Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day. So yeah, when you put it in the big picture, this team is 5-7 and they're in the hunt. And what else can you ask for your team other than to try to win as much as they can and to do the best they can? And this team is starting to turn things around. It just might not be the way you like it. We get caught up in that sometimes.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming with that, because at the end of the day, man, I watch football. I bet on football, and these guys get paid money. They get paid money. They got pride out there. And, the way that these guys talk about the Saints, like, they got some real good players out there. The spread was 5 points.
That's true.
They lost by 4 points today, man. Like, come on. Like, what kind of fan base do we have? I'm telling you, I've seen so many people leave the Dolphins and become Cowboy fans.
I hate that.
Become Pittsburgh fans, become Packer fans. And, like, it's not a good energy source that you have with a fan base that leaves the stadium, and they're crying, they're crabbing, they're crying. What I'm listening to come on your show right now, it's sad. I got my girl sitting next to me, and she's listening to this. She's like, why are they complaining like this? Why are they tripping? We just won a game. And we're needing to win these games just to get over the hump. We don't have Tyreek Hill. We don't have some of the things that we were supposed to have to even be what some would call an 8-9 team or a 9-8 team. So if anything, we're supposed to be losing more than what we've lost so far. But we're on a win streak. And now we got the Jets coming up to continue a winning streak. And guess what? If we win against the Jets, and I don't know how this game is going to go up against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Buffalo Bills, but if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose, guess what? That Monday night game is that one game away from us taking over the Steelers and being right back into this thing. You got to look at this ever since Mike McDaniel been here. Ever since he's been here, the first 2 seasons, we went to the playoffs, they were winning season. Then when we were losing last year, guess what? We had the same exact record at this point. The only thing is we didn't get over the hump last year because of a few plays. But I'm telling you, man, this team has already proven that they can do this. They go on winning streaks. Last year they went on this winning streak to almost make the playoffs. I really believe, man, if a couple things go down, you're gonna see that I called it. It's delusional confidence. I feel like they're gonna go 10-7. But it's going to be ugly. But you got to win ugly games. Because if this was a Super Bowl game and they won like this, well, people be crying afterwards because we won the way that we won.
That's another thing a lot of people will say about this Dolphins team. If they find they're basically in playoff mode, the teams that are in playoff mode before the playoffs even start are the teams that are good in the playoffs because they've won ugly. They've gone through the stresses. They've come through everything. They've done all that. And then you look at the grand scheme of things, although you're not always happy with the way you got to the result, you do have to feel somewhat good about that. And the Dolphins have been doing that lately, and they are bringing a winning mentality. And I think every Dolphins fan needs to note this. This is a team that could have easily, after Tyreek Hill went down, after the bad start, after all this stuff, could have quit. Could have started playing for their next team or their next contract in their head, but they didn't. They continue to fight. They continue to go out there with a lot of pride, and that, as a Dolphins fan, should make you very happy and prideful. 305-567-0560. Back to the phone lines. 104.3 FM, WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Dan Day? It's Alejandro from Hollywood.
Good to hear from you again, Alejandro.
Yeah, I was at the game like always, man, and the good news is we won.
Mm-hmm.
Tua looked terrible, man. He couldn't hit water. He fell off a boat. I'm telling you right now.
It got worse when it got rainy. I will admit that.
It got worse. At the same time, you were asking yourself the question, is it Mike McDaniel's fault? Is it Tua's fault? And I'm going to say it's both of their fault.
Okay.
At times, Mike McDaniel's, of course, calls these boneheaded plays. But then when he does call the right play, Tua doesn't execute. So you got to blame both of them. You know, and I don't know what Mike McDaniel's thinking, but when you're running the ball and you're pounding the rock and you're gaining yardage, You don't all of a sudden get into the red zone and start passing the ball, especially with the way that Tua was playing. You continue to pound the rock until they prove that they're able to stop you, and that's the bottom line. Also, I do want to give credit to the defense because when it counted, they made the stop they needed to make, and they played relatively well. But, the Dolphins are spinning the wheels. They're not going anywhere. We're going to wind up with 7 or 8 wins, like always. And, when you're the architect of a football team and you're building a football team, you got to start with the trenches, man. And they got to build up the trenches. And until they're not able to dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides, they're not going to go anywhere, And going forward, I hope they really concentrate on that. Whether people like it or not, Tua's going to be around for a while. If they get rid of him, it's a $99 million cap hit, and that's something that's really hard to afford. So I think that going forward, whether we like it or not, Tua's going to be there. So we need to rally around Tua, try to see if we could get Tua to improve his play, because obviously he's just not even close to what he was before. He's playing scared. It's obvious. I'm there at the game. I'm watching it. When you scramble and you're scrambling for the first down, you got to slide at the marker, not slide two yards before the marker. That doesn't work. So at the same time, they got to let him loose a little bit. And if he gets injured, he gets injured. But sometimes you got to take the risk. If he continues to play scared like that, the offense is not going to proceed. We're not going to go anywhere. And that's just the bottom line. So let's see what happens. We got to try to continue to win, because I don't believe in tanking. I don't believe in losing. At the same time, they got to build it up. When it comes time to draft, they got to focus on the trenches, focus on the offensive line, focus on the defensive line, and then we go from there.
Alejandro, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, you notice how much of a difference the trenches make. Look, the Saints, their strength is that defense, and made a big difference with a guy like Cameron Jordan, who is, to me, one of the greatest all-time defensive linemen in the history of the NFL. And Chase, I want to call him Chase Edwards. Chase Young. I had a brain fart right there. Chase Young was in the backfield all day long. Those guys made a huge difference, and we played right into the strength of them when we drove down the field, Achane every single play, and then started passing. And I just wonder what Mike McDaniel was thinking. They got the win, though, and the trenches, they are very important, and the Miami Dolphins are trying to strengthen like most people are. I thought Zeke Biggers made a big couple plays today, getting us some strength. Kenneth Grant getting better. I thought Patrick Paul, we saw he's had a great season, did not have the best day today, but Chase Young kind of has something to do with that. 305-567-0560. One more phone call before we go to break. 104.3 FM WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Howdy there. You talking to me, friend?
Yes, my friend.
How we doing? I'm just reaching out to tell you it's been 25 years since I've actually gotten to enjoy football. I am hoping that we can figure out Tua's contract and or getting rid of it. I don't see anything positive coming from it. I mean, he just literally got outthrown by a rookie, probably almost double the yards and double the touchdowns. And I just think this entire team is a total joke and needs to figure out a rebuild as soon as possible. Going from that, though, I do think Mike McDaniels does have potential as a offensive coordinator, but not so much as an overall coach.
Okay, well, I'll just tell you, Tua went 12 for 23, 157 yards, 1 interception, and 1 that was almost intercepted. It might have been intercepted, but they couldn't overturn it. Tyler Shuck was 26 for 38, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I
understand that entirely, but how is that happening when it's a rookie quarterback with an offense of line that is completely non-existent?
Oh, yeah.
In addition to the fact that they do not have any players to throw to whatsoever.
Oh, they got Chris Olave, he's a little hurt too. But yeah, I understand. No, I understand what you're saying. If you tell me this, Tua makes over $50 million, and there's even a question of who was the better quarterback today between Tyler Shuck and Tua, I tell you, no $50 million quarterback should ever have that question asked in that situation.
I agree entirely. I can only hope for the best of this team. I am desperate coming from a diehard South Floridian. I can only be happy for my Florida Panthers at this point. But otherwise, as well as my Miami Heat, I can only enjoy the other sports teams in the South Florida area. But I don't know what to be promised about for the Dolphins. It just seems like every single year is a possibility of potential and a total flop.
I understand. I feel your pain as a lifelong South Floridian. I can understand where you're coming from. If you're born and raised here, and if you've been here, it seems like, and then all year long we talked about, I'd rather the Dolphins be really, really good or really, really bad. The one thing a lot of Dolphins fans didn't want is a team that was 5-7 at this point in the season and trending, and I'm just saying trending, possibly towards another 8-9 season. That is some Dolphins fans' nightmare. We shall see, though. All I can tell you right now, 3-game winning streak for the last 5. Maybe this team's figured some things out.